Hello and welcome to Bodyholic with D, episode number 22. My name is D. Katz Shachar and I am a public health promoter. I'm a fitness trainer with nearly 18 years of experience and I specialize in corrective exercise, women's fitness, and Pilates. I'm also the founder and trainer of Bodyholic, the global health and fitness platform and community, and I'm the author of the book, Rip It Up for Good. This podcast is a part of my effort and mission as a public health professional because I believe that real science-based information and knowledge is power, and my job in this life is to empower you. I want you to have high and sustained energy throughout the day, and I want you to feel better than you have ever felt before, during, and after your workouts, in and out of your clothing, and not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. Now, today we have the second appearance of the clinical dietitian and microbiome scientist, Ayelet Gur Arie. The episode you're about to hear is complex. We touch on the connection between our weight and microbiome. We touch on tools we need in order to support our microbiome and how we can support our children's gut health and, in turn, our children's overall well-being. I truly think that everyone can highly benefit from this conversation, but I actually think that every parent may want to consider listening closely to Ayelet's advice. Without further ado, let's dive right in.
Ayelet Gur Arie, how are you?
I am great. Thank you. How are you? Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. And our last episode together got so many hits, I guess. What do I say? So many listeners. I was going to say so many views, but it's not. It got listeners, and people enjoyed it so much. And I also feel like we're already buddies. So
Definitely.
I was like, it's time to have you back on. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thank you. We're going to talk about today the things that people ask me all the time. So we're going to have all the answers today regarding the microbiome and health. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I think, you and I were discussing like what exactly should be the format of today. And we were thinking actually very scientific. And then you were like, let's just do an FAQ because these are the questions that people ask me. So I think this is, after you said that, I thought about it and I was like, this is really important. Let's do an FAQ session. Beautiful. So let's get into the background and what is the microbiome. And you've already spoken about this before, so I highly recommend also checking out the previous episode where Ayelet was a guest. But let's maybe also recap a little bit.
Right. So just shortly saying how what is the microbiome in a short. So it is a collection of microorganisms. It's not just one type, it's trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and others. So it's a whole family of microorganisms that really plays a crucial role in our health, overall health. We talked last time about mental health, and it's really all over. It's really all types and kinds of health. There's hundreds of different species, and the most abundant and the most studied are the bacteria. So when we're going to talk today about the microbiome, we're going to talk about the bacteria in it, but it's not just bacteria. So it's important to understand that it is a whole ecosystem. It's a whole like a rainforest with millions and little all kinds of lives in it. But we're going to talk about the main character there, which is bacteria. Mm-hmm. It really develops our immune system. So this is one of the main things that the microbiome affects us, the reasons why the microbiome affects us so much, because it really in control of our immune system. And this is in a healthy state, we're going to be better. We're going to talk about it today, but in an unbalanced microbiome, we have a lot of health conditions coming our way, like gastrointestinal disorders and mental health disorders in many levels, not just the hardest one or the easiest, just all the levels of it. Even cancer, we now know that is really connected. And the thing that we're going to talk about most is the obesity and gaining weight and diabetes. And this is really a pandemic of our world today. This is not like something in a specific area or specific health indicators. This is really something that our world suffers a lot. It means people are more sick. It means more liability on our health system. This has a lot of meaning just for his personal, family, and community, and even worldwide. So this is really important to understand how important that is to stop and to make it, even if small, the part of it, to try and to do it less and less difficult as it is.
Can I just stop you for a moment and say
Sure.
that you just explained something so important. I'm going to back up a little bit, just because I didn't really understand that until you just said it. That the analogy you just made to like a rainforest. That's amazing, because I think of microbiome as a whole bunch of bacteria, and you're saying that that's like the key player, but there's more. That just kind of, that changed the way I viewed it. I don't think I fully understood that. Yeah,
there's a whole field of research for searching the fungi in our microbiome, or the other microorganisms. The main character, as you say, it is the bacteria, but it's definitely not the only ones. So the main research and the main thing we're going to talk about it today is the bacteria, but definitely not the only player in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like much more, it's even more complex than I actually understood.
It is. It's a whole ecosystem, just like the rainforest. Millions of smaller, bigger, main characters, small characters, tiny ones. Everyone needs for us to be healthier, everyone needs to live together in an ecosystem inside our gut, which is amazing. It's small, but it's so huge.
Yeah. I feel like you just kind of placed a piece in the puzzle for me that I was not clear for me. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we live with a lot of kinds. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you just already touched on concern for, I think it should be a policy concern for countries. You touched on the obesity. And so I did want to get into and I think a lot of people would be interested in this. What is the connection between our weight and the microbiome?
Well, there is so much connection. I'm gonna say in simple words all the other main connections, and it goes back to the research we just started and checked, and the main absent from that would be, there is a huge connection. And after that, with so many research conducted, it was in 2006 when they took an obese individual's microbiome and transplanted into germ-free mice. And those mice who got the obese people's microbiome gained weight.
Right.
And again, it is kind of crazy because nothing else changed, not their food, not their cage, not their surrounding, not their DNA, obviously. So nothing else changed but their microbiome, and they gained weight. And this was probably the first research that said, listen, there's another reason, there's another thing for us to think about when we think about human overweight and obesity, which was unknown. We always said before it's the habits and the surrounding and the DNA. But now we thought, wait, there's something huge. And the research went on and on. There was also research of weight loss, touch-ups in humans, that they look of human who's in a diet, was in like a normal, healthy diet. And they saw that some people lose weight faster, and some people at the same diet and the same conditions lose the weight slower. And you can never, and it was very frustrating because you talk to your friend and say, oh, I'm going to lose weight. Yay, me too. We're going to eat this and that. And it's the same thing. We're going to do the same exercise, the same type of, everything's the same. And one says, hey, I've just lost like 6 kilograms. And the other one says, what? I'm doing it the same as you. And I only lost 1.5 or 3 kilograms. So it was very frustrating, and no one knew what was the difference between those types of losing weight. And a research showed that a different type of bacteria in your gut, in your microbiome, is the one to predict how fast you're going to lose weight in your diet, which was like really astonishing, because everyone says, well, maybe you're not eating right. Maybe you're just eating a little bit more than you should. And it was very frustrating for process to talk to people like that, and to have the answer that maybe your microbiome making you lose weight slower, and it's not you. It really made a better perspective for people trying to lose weight. So really the research is going on and on. It's still for today conducting research on this field, but we know more and more all the time. First of how they do that. Okay, we saw the connection, but how? Okay, we have different microbes and different microbiomes lose weight differently, but how is it? Why is that? So the main reason is that our good microbiome, when it's balanced and good, it makes us feel fullness and it makes us feel more satiety in our hormones. So this is something that they do. We feed the good bacteria with dietary fiber, and I'll elaborate on that later with exactly what you should do, what you should eat. We're gonna have it later. So we're feeding our good microbiome with dietary fiber, and after they're eating, they produce a thing called SCFAs, which is a shortcut for short chain fatty acid. And those short chain fatty acids are really small molecules that goes from our gut to our brains and signals to our brain, I'm full, I'm not hungry. So, and that way we have a longer satiety when we have a better microbiome. So all the snacking between the meals and all the feeling that most of people have during the day, I always want to snack something. I want to feel like a little bit hungry. So it helps a lot with that. When you change your microbiome for good, you feel less hunger. You feel less hungry. You feel more full. After the same meal, the same calorie, you would feel fuller for longer. And we have all the satiety and hunger hormones balanced with leptins and PYY and ghrelin, everything balanced into not eating again. This is a huge thing that our microbiome does. Another thing that helps us with losing weight and feeling full is the motility. So our microbiome can change just a little bit, but still it is a notable change that we can have with a better microbiome. The slower motility means our gut is fuller for longer. It doesn't push it back and down for feces. It just stays in our gut. And this means, again, we have food in our system, so that signals our brain, I'm not hungry yet. So we're full for longer. And this is a really big thing, because we know now when diets and when people losing weight, when you have a good meal, this is great, but a lot of time the difficulties are in between meals, or the snacking, or the sweet things, or the things we were offered in the office, or just snacking on the way. When we feel full for longer, it can really, really help, and just feels better, not lacking all the time. I can't have.
Right. Can I just ask, I just so I understand the mechanism a little bit better, the
short chain fatty acids?
No. Actually, when or you'll correct me, but when there's the healthy food in the gut that you're going to elaborate about soon, and the microbiome is happy and healthy, then there's a trigger. The leptin and ghrelin work better. Is there a trigger there between those hormones and the microbiome?
So the short chain fatty acids is the missing key. So when we feed bacteria the food it needs, the substance that is in the making after they eat is the short chain fatty acid. And the short chain fatty acid goes straight to our brain and signals all the things, saying, I'm full, I'm not hungry, I'm not full, I'm full, I'm not hungry.
Yeah. Got it. Amazing. So the short chain fatty acids is like a byproduct.
It is exactly. It's a byproduct of after we feed our microbiome with dietary fiber. The byproduct is the short chain fatty acids, which goes straight to doing a lot of great things. This is one of them.
Amazing.
Another thing, crazy thing that the microbiome does is that it is responsible for a part of our energy expenditure and fat storage. So it can really lead to more fat storage. And this is probably the answer of why those mice that we talked about in the first researchers, why they gain fat all of a sudden when nothing else basically changed. It will probably was because they got the microbiome that shifted their energy expenditure to fat storage more than it used to be. And this is also, something that is astonishing as a dietitian to learn that there is something, our body is so affected from this microbiome situation and always connected all the time. It's not just like once and our body does what, so it really connected in many, many ways. Another way is about the sugars, blood sugars. So we have research shown that if people eat the same thing, the same surrounding, the same things exactly, but their blood sugar is going to be different. Everyone has a different blood sugar after the same slice of bread. And why is that? I mean, why is someone will have a slice of white bread and the sugar will be fine, and why someone else has the same slice of bread and will have spiked in a really, really high sugars in the blood afterwards? And the answer is the microbiome. So we now know that we have a specific bacteria that controls our blood sugars. So we have research now talking about changing the microbiome into changing diabetes or insulin resistance. And we're not talking about any crazy medicine or any crazy diet or highly exercise. It focuses on the microbiome. So, and again, the diabetes is such a pandemic in our world, in young children. We're going to talk about also young children, but it's really getting more and more. We can't stop it. We're not stopping it at this moment, but maybe we're going to find the exact strains we need and what we're going to eat to have the microbiome to make us, not insulin resistance at all. And, I wish we're going to have that diet and we're going to know exactly the food.
This is amazing. This is, I thought, I'll be honest with you. I have a few confessions. The first confession, and this is more like a confession to the world, is that when someone doesn't lose weight, okay, a client of mine shows up and that client is not losing weight, I want to see what he or she is eating. And I'm skeptic and I'm a little concerned and I want to watch their every move. Right. So this is me as a personal trainer and, a public health person. And when you say like there's so much more, it's really important. And I feel like everybody in the health profession and trainers and nutritionists really need to understand this. This is really, really important. We should be spreading out this episode like crazy. That was confession number one. Confession number two is I thought that after our last meeting, I was going to be like, all right, yeah, okay, let's talk about the FAQ, but you're still blowing my mind.
It's a field of really, and I think we're going to continue talking. I think we're going to have more bit of surprises. Yeah.
So let me just recap real quick. So the connections that we're seeing between the microbiome and gaining weight is because the microbiome, there are certain strains that affect our blood sugar.
Yeah. Makes
our
us feel
fat storage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And all the satiety.
And the satiety.
Yeah, the microbiome controls it basically, not 100%, but when we have a good microbiome, we're gonna feel fuller for longer. That's the bottom line. Yeah. So we know we want the good microbiome, right? We want to do that. We're gonna have tips and exactly what we know today, like how to do this. But I know many people ask me, okay, but how do I know, like, what is my microbiome? When is it coming out? When is it like settle? When is it determine what my microbiome?
Right. I was gonna say, is it born with us? Like, so, what is? Yeah.
Born with us is a complex question, because we know that a vaginal birth has good exposure of germs, but we now know we have new research coming up, so it's not 100% sure, but that C-section is not, and birth, and as long as the baby is breastfed, so the birth is not really what determines the microbiome. It's more the breath, like the breastfeeding or like formula. So this is the stronger connection, and the research really show that the microbiome of children who are 2 to 6 months, we're talking babies 2 to 6 months old, and we saw the research took their microbiome when they were that young and did research on them when they were older, and saw that the differences in the microbiome could predict what child would be overweight. So the microbiome of even 2 to 6 months can even say something about the risks of overweight. So even that young, and this is why we're going to elaborate on child nutrition and what we should do to make the microbiome the best there is, because it really is important for their whole lives, even from 2 to 6 months, which is so old. And another research took even 2 to 3 years. And again, they saw that an unbalanced microbiome was a really hard connection with overweight later in childhood. So it really is affected. It really is connected. And we're going to talk about what is the best thing for your microbiome as adults. But it's really important to me, and I get asked all the time, how do we make our children's microbiome really better for their overall health in the future? So
it's basically, the question is kind of like how to create this microbiome.
Yeah, because when a baby is a baby, we can't control mostly everything, the birth canal or C-section, or some women, can't breastfed and it's difficult for them, so they put it on the bottle. So, okay, when you have a child or a baby who started eating, not just bottle fed or breastfed, what should we do? I still want to start with the adults because the children is more specific, but the bottom line is the thing that will always be true, the diverse range of plant-based food. And we talked about it on our last episode, that you can't fight that. This is the best thing. People ask me about probiotics and different vitamin or a mineral. Listen, there's nothing better than a diverse plant-based foods. We see it in research, we see it in other research, not from the microbiome, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes and nuts and seed is the best food for us. And again, if we're going to go to the metaphor of the rainforest, right? The rainforest is from nature. It's something that it didn't stop. Think of throwing plastic in the rainforest, right? It's not a good thing. It will never be a good thing. It will always ruin something. I mean, a little plastic won't destroy the whole rainforest, right? But it's not a good thing to have. So this is processed food. Processed food is like the little plastic in our rainforest, which is, we can have a little bit. We still live in this world who has a lot of processed food, and which is okay. But you should remember that our gut and our body, we're from nature. We need to put in things from nature, not things who were made for us to look good, to smell good, to be crunchy, to be shelf life, to have a shelf life of 6 months or 10 months. This is not, things from nature. Think of fruit and vegetables or cooked food, like ready to eat food. I'm not talking about rice, right? But like ready to eat food that you have in a refrigerator. Like how many days is it good in the refrigerators?
Right.
3, 5, week tops.
3,
right?
I'm already skeptic. Yeah.
Right. So ready to eat food, these are the times. So when you take something that has 6 to 8 to a year of ready to eat, like a snack or something, this is not, you can be sure when you have that long of shelf life, make sure this has a lot of chemicals like the plastic in the rainforest. You don't want to put it in there.
I think the rainforest metaphor is so brilliant. I think you're just a genius for saying that.
I don't think I'm the first one to have it, but I think I'm always talking about it like this, and I'm elaborating on this and putting little metaphors again. So I use it, and this is the best metaphor for it. Yeah,
because it drives it home for the layman like me.
Yeah,
it drives it home. Yeah.
You get it right. So I want to start, and I will end again that the bottom line is the diverse of plant-based food. Doesn't mean you can't have processed. It doesn't mean you can't have meat, but the main should be that. So the first thing that we kind of mentioned is fiber. Fiber-rich foods is the best food for our microbiome, because the fiber, we can't digest most of it. So it goes to our gut till the end of it where the microbes are, and they eat from it. So we are feeding our body with fiber, but we're feeding them their meals. So they will be stronger. They will be multiply when we eat the fiber. So fiber-rich foods really is the best, and dietary fiber, not as something separate that you add, of course. Like broccoli, berry, beans, lentils, oat, whole wheat, drinks like coffee, green tea, red wine is okay. Spices is really great. So just, everything that comes from nature, everything that is, plant-based, the diverse, the more you have, the more types you have, the better. This is the first.
What's the cap on coffee and green tea?
Coffee and green tea has a thing called polyphenols, which is, it's just another type of healthy things for the microbiome. They both have it in them. If we're going to have coffee, it's going to be good for a microbiome, of course, in moderation. We're not talking
right.
About
that's what I mean. So like what's not moderate?
More than 3 a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're talking black. Am I right?
Yeah. But of course the tiny chains like the Nescafe, right? It's even lower. So top is 3, like black. Yeah.
Nescafe is like powdered coffee.
Powdered coffee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing that is really helpful for the microbiome is food that has probiotic in it. And this is a little tricky because I'm not talking about adding probiotic. Just a little talk about that. Probiotic is just specific strains in a really big dosage we don't know yet if it's what we need, if it's good for us. There is people who has a really wrecked microbiome with gut issues, and this is a population that we are sometimes recommending probiotic, but as a healthy, active people, the recommendation is probiotic rich foods in food. This is where our body can control it a bit more, and it's not like the probiotic, which is such a huge amounts, like forcing our gut to accept a specific strain that we don't know if it's good for us. Maybe we have something better. I do not recommend taking probiotic just for fun, I do recommend probiotic foods, not additives. So what
probiotic?
Yeah, like yogurt. Okay, of course, yogurt is the main thing. It is great. I give it to my children. I try to eat it every day. Probiotic food, yogurt. I always try different types. I don't stay with the same one all the time. Of course, sweetened.
Right.
Only the core, the heart. I like the sour, and we always add a different fruit to it. So it's really great. Kombucha is a really great thing. We don't have it much here, but I know it's really worldwide interest, and people love it. So it's really
also I'm big on kombucha. So I'm just going to throw it in there that a lot of kombucha has added sugar. So just check out the ingredients and make sure that you're drinking a cleaner version. Yeah,
definitely. And of course, some cheeses, the smelly cheeses is a probiotic food, which is really great. Of course, in moderation, take a slice and enjoy it. What other food components do we want for a better microbiome? Well, omega-3 fatty acids is really important. It's really good for a microbiome. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, flaxseed has omega-3 fatty acids, chia seeds, walnuts is really good. I always recommend walnuts because you can just throw it in your bag and just snack on it like during the day. You don't have to have like a lot of things surrounding it. So walnuts are my favorite, and they really promote a healthy gut environment. They're really important also, and we tend to always forget about them. Omega-3 fatty acids is so important for our health, also mental health, and also, blood and everything, but also to our microbiome. And I was surprised to see that they needed to, and it's really helpful for the gut. So it is another thing to do on your checklist for a better microbiome is making sure you get omega-3 fatty acids.
And I, as a person who I don't eat a lot of what you just said, I take a pill.
Sure. That's really great.
We're okay with that.
We're okay with that. It is not the same as, as probiotic. It is not the same as vitamins and minerals. The first thing you want is from food, because from food, your body knows it, like it knows what it is, and it knows how to treat it. Chia seeds, walnuts. Walnuts are my favorite. Yeah.
And you were saying that our body knows what to do with the food, but with pills,
it's kind of forcing him. Yeah, it's a mega doses most of the time. So I do not recommend it every case is different, right? But for listeners and people who are probably mostly healthy, no, you should get those things from food. And when you don't get it from food, like omega-3 fatty acids, it's really okay to take a pill and to take it in as an additive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just one more question: when I decide, when I shop for salmon, or nuts or whatever, do I need to look out for specifics? Can I get frozen salmon? Is that okay?
Yeah, the omega-3 fatty acids are not ruined. The salmon, the thing is, we're not really sure where is the most omega-3 fatty acids in fish, because we don't really know where those fish are from, if they make enough. But mostly the salmon is okay. The other one, and the sardines also. So this is what I what I said. The salmon and sardines are mostly okay for omega-3 fatty acid. There's a resource for that. Yeah,
Okay.
mostly okay.
Thank you.
So the all the other things that are better for a microbiome is funny because it's just a healthy actions like enough sleep. And we also mentioned it the last time we talked that we have to, for our microbiome to be better, to build itself anew and to have a good stop from the outside and the inside in our gut, it needs to work and it's to build itself, and it does it at night. So when we don't have at least 7 to 8 hours of not eating, of sleeping, we're gonna have a worse and to the worst side of our microbiome. So sleep is better, is important also. And when I have clients, we come to talk about better microbiome and how we do that. We also talk about sleep, and it's always surprising. What does it matter? Well, it really matters, because when we want it to be better, even when exercising, so rest isn't less important than the exercise itself. It's really important also. So
100%.
Exactly. So in the building of muscles, it's just like the building of a better microbiome, it needs rest. So sleeping is really important. Also hydrate, and just drinking, of course, water, only maybe soda, but mainly water, no juices, no shakes, or stuff like that. Of course, you can have a shake, and of course, it's not forbidden, but we're talking about hydrate means water. Okay, doesn't mean coffee, means water. So this is another point that people think, well, I'm drinking coffee, it has water in it. Well, it doesn't hydrate you as a cup of water. So when we talk about hydrating our body, we're talking about drinking water.
And it's also a laxative, so it'll send you to the bathroom more.
Right. But, some people is not like that. And some people is better if it's the morning, if it's the noon. So this is very subjective about the coffee. But the water is something that we can't skip. We can't change. If you want to stay with your coffee, fine. But you can't skip the water.
Right. There was something that I wanted to ask. Is it a matter of sleeping specifically, or is it a matter of not eating and taking a break from eating?
It is probably both. We have research checking sleep and not checking the fast. So the sleep is 100% needed. But I can tell you also the fast and not eating for a period of time, I would say 10 hours. I mean, it doesn't have to be 8, 16, like the fast people doing now.
Right.
Just like 8, 10 hours of just not eating and resting for the gut. Yeah.
Yeah, that clears it up.
Right. Another thing we're working on with my clients, which is really complex, is mindful eating. And it really, when you eat faster, we're not digesting the food, right? We're not listening to the signals that come to our brain saying we're full, if we're eating faster, if we're talking, if we're not sitting straight, if we're swallowing air. So we really need to have a mindful eating, which means I'm telling my body, sometimes I even say it out loud, and they tell, what do you want me? Everyone thinking I'm crazy. I'm talking to my body saying I'm going to eat now. I know it sounds funny, but I'm saying, maybe say in your heart, we're going to eat now. We're sitting straight and we're looking at the food. We're looking it, we're smelling it, and we're chewing it really good. You have no idea how many of people just not chewing their food correctly enough. This is insane. We chew like half of what we should. You need to chew your food. So when you swallow it, it would be like babies, like first, yeah. And we don't do that. I see people eating with me at lunch or whatever, and they just talk and they eat and they bite like 5 and they swallow and they swallow. You need to really chew your food. This is number one. This is surprising surprisingly how many people will enjoy their food and their gut motility after when they just chew their food better.
Wow.
Just chew it. Yeah.
I'm imagining my daughter,
Right.
where she's just like putting as much in as possible, and then she can barely even close her mouth. And I'm just dumbfounded. I'm like, how did that little mouth even consume that?
Right. So a lot of magical things come when you chew your food thoroughly. Like seriously, people tell me they feel fuller after smaller amounts because it takes time. You're giving your body time to signal your brain that's enough for me. I'm full. And we're chewing and talking and swallowing air, and everything is really fast. And we shouldn't do that. We should chew and wait and sit, straight and have a meal. I don't like when my people like eating on the road, in the car, while walking. Well, it is not right. I mean, it happens because we live in a stressed world, and we have a stress routine, but shouldn't be in meals. We should sit down and let our body know we're eating now, we're breathing, we are chewing, we slow down when we eat.
Yeah. I think that's so important. And you probably know that the idea of mindful eating is close to home for me. And it's very important. It's there's also a sense of gratitude. So it's not only that you're doing a service, an important service to your body, but it's also like a mental and emotional thing, like a sense of, I'm taking my time. I've got this time for a moment. And huge.
Yeah. So it's really, again, it's really connected all the time, the mental and the feelings and the food and the chewing. Everything is really, really connected. And the microbiome really is like a center key that really controls and touches every aspect altogether. So it really is a center of things. So when we are mindful eating and we're chewing thoroughly, our microbiome gets their ingredients and their own foods and minerals and whatever it needs in a better shape. So it also better for the microbiome. We have a fight or flight situation in our body, and when we eat, when we are very stressed, we're on walking or talking or on the phone and doing a million things, we're on a fight mode. And when we eat, to digest everything properly, we need to be relaxed, the relaxed mode.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of connected. When a mindful eating, slow down, chewing your food, let your body know I'm eating now. So this is a part of it. So it's a really big thing that we work on. It's really a process, I'm sure you can't tell people, and from the day after, oh yeah, that's perfect. It's really a process of the habits that people have.
Sure.
But when people start really chew their food thoroughly and eat mindfully, like a lot of things get better. Like really, they feel better, they feel fuller, they lose weight. And they say, well, I didn't even exercise. I didn't even do anything that I hated, that I didn't want. I just paid attention. And so it's really amazing to see. Yeah.
I wonder how many people right now are listening to the podcast while they're driving and they're like about to take the bite out of their sandwich and they're like putting the sandwich down.
Well, I do let people through like driving or in the train and eat because they're sitting, they're relaxed. But if it's with a work conference or on the run to take the kids from school, no. So this is but sitting and in the car or just while, it's fine. It's not the best, but it's okay. So after going through what we should eat and how we should act, a lot of difficulties come from what not to have. And processed food and sugary food is really, some people have more and some people have less, but letting them go and stop eating processed food is really difficult in our world. I have to be honest, this is one of the hardest thing to do, because almost everything is processed. We can buy really expensive bread that will have, seeds on it. It will be brown. It will be from a good store. But when you look back at the back of it, you see so much things to make it, shelf life longer, or to make it the outside crisp and inside soft. So everything feels processed, but in the beginning. And this is one of the hardest thing to let go of, because but it's so easy. I just open the thing and I just eat it. I know it's so easy, it's so fast. And again, our hectic life really it wants it and really makes it okay, but actually it's not good for you. So all those processed food need to be out. We need to go back to nature to have things. We need to cook them more ourselves, or just to buy clean labels. Clean labels means that has a short list on the back and that we recognize what it is, like flour and water and salt. This is great. But all those E's and emulsifiers and all these are not good for you and very bad for the microbiome. So we're talking today about the microbiome. This is really bad for it. It really ruins it. So this is a process that needs to be done. Eating out, all that, it's difficult, I know. Mm-hmm. And another thing is the alcohol. A lot of people, younger people, celebrate a lot, they drink a lot, sometimes in the midweek, some at the end of the week, but the amounts are really crazy, like shots and cocktails and all.
And what does it do to the microbiome?
It is metaphorically chokes it. This is the best metaphor.
So can you see like a decrease in the Wow.
Yeah, it goes through, it's always on the run. It's like always a bit changing. So it goes through the bad microbiome. It goes through the bad effective of health when you have a high consumption of alcohol. And of course, I'm not talking about a glass of wine. White wine or red wine is great. It's really okay. It's really fun. But, to young people that, are clients and we talk, they tell me the amount of alcohol that they consume in the weekend, and it's really, really crazy. And
can you give me an example?
They wake up, they have mimosa, and then at lunch they go to the beach, and on the beach they have beer or a cocktail, and then at evening they go out and they have shots and they have vodka and they have gin and they have, just young people having fun. And I mean, I can understand they work really hard during the week. I understand, but it is a process that needs to be, it's a social thing. So it needs like all my friends going to drink, and I said, no, can I have soda? And we're finding solutions. And I have to say that when someone wants to have a change, it really can happen. And alcohol decreasing really helps that. A lot of girls come to me for bloating, for abdominal bloating, and the alcohol we're working on a lot of things, but alcohol really make it worse. So when you just ditch it and just stick to 1 glass of wine and maybe 1.5, and they tell me, listen, I just feel better. I go to sleep better. I sleep better. I wake up better. It's better.
I get a little dizzy just thinking about the mimosa and beer and evening that you just described. Like it's wow.
I know. But there's alcohol everywhere. For like every meeting, every sitting, morning, noon, and evening. And even, if we don't have the mimosa in the morning, in the evenings, the going out is like not just a glass of wine or a cocktail and hanging out, is drinking. It's really big amounts. And I'm just like you, I feel just how do you drink all that?
Right.
So this is
I'm like, maybe I'm a big old nerd. But honestly, it's just like, no, I can't do that. How interesting. Wow. But no, it's true. It's like, you need to find a solution, for these people. Like what would be an example for like when you say, you know what, maybe let's try to skip the mimosa. What do you say? Like, what can they do instead?
1 glass of wine, tops 2. If you want a cocktail, then virgin without the alcohol, maybe just a little gin. That's
Right.
it.
And then you're part of the gang drinking, sipping on something.
Right. I find that the biggest hard part with the shots, like everyone has to have shots. And I ask, why do we have to have a shot with everyone? You just have to. It's something you have to. And I disagreed. I said, well, try not to, or maybe say like, just let's start a different tradition. Why do you have to, but this is a hard thing. And, when you're young, you're very social. You really want to be social. You want to be with everyone and celebrate and have a good, fun vibe. It's a difficult thing.
Maybe you can put soda in your shot glass.
Yeah.
Like soda water.
Right. But I don't think, they pour it together, and I don't know. I just hope times will change for them. But, the girls and even the guys that come to me, when they really want to make a change, they say, no, not for me. And there was the first time in their lives, and they saying, no, I'm not drinking the shots. I'm with my cocktail here, which is just amazing. Just amazing for me.
Yeah, which makes sense to me, because like I will go out and people will drink shots around me, and I totally can't handle it. And it's just a no, thank you. But I'm still in the gang. I'm still gonna give everybody a high five and a hug.
Yeah. So just exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the microbiome, which is another heavy subject, is managing stress. And this is another big problem for our generation in our world we live in, because when we have stress, constant stress, things in our body work, like hormonally, physically, and also the microbiome is getting hurt, like is going to the side of a worse microbiome. And when we have things that we do, like a little meditation or deep breathing, or just spending time, watching in a silence, just in the balcony, but in silence, it really helps reduce the stress, and it can really help the better microbiome and lower abdominal. So, but another thing I wanted to say about the exercise. So you need to have exercise. You can have to lower bloating. You should always have exercise, but I really want to emphasize that it's not the hardcore, intense, sweaty exercise. Is actually the slower, the nicer, like yoga, like Pilates, like, walking. The hardcore isn't always the best for the microbiome. Actually, the best for it is the movement, the nice, relaxed movements. Of course, it can challenge you. I'm not saying like sitting or moving, I don't know, something too easy, but not the hardest one, and also I have young people come to me, I'm doing HIIT and I'm running and I'm doing weights and I'm sweaty and I'm bloated after it. And I don't know why is that. But when we go a little to and again, it's in the stress pool, that if we do the less stress exercise, it'll actually be better for you. And again, we do multiple things at once, but when we lower the exercise, they finally lose weight and less bloated and feel better. And it's an enigma to them, but I burned this and that calories, and now I burned so much less, and now I'm losing weight. Like, what's going on? Well, this is like the key. Maybe the microbiome and what's better for him is what's going to help you lose the weight. And it's not the extent, the crazy exercise.
Right. I think a lot of people who join the Bodyholic training program are surprised, because what it is, it's the way I work out. It's basically I work out and then it uploads onto the site. And I think people are surprised at how, because the amount of Pilates and mindfulness strength flow, which is one of my workouts, that goes into my week, is surprising to people. But it's the flow that I really love, and it's the Pilates and the deep core work and the listening to your breath. And I think it's really important because I'm just going to use myself as an example. I think people look at me from feedback that I get and assume that I smash my workouts 24/7, where really what the main thing that I do is actually deep strength work. And I don't think anything in my life is more important than my sleep, as much as I possibly can. It's limited because I'm a mom, but still it's still a priority as much as I can. And I think it's surprising. And I think what you're saying is really important, because maybe it's because I'm devoting or I'm making my microbiome healthy.
You're helping it 100%, being healthier, and that makes you feel fuller and happier, and and all of the above, everything all together really affects a lot of things at once.
Very, very interesting.
And
so what else there? Yeah.
Just another thing that adds up to what you said, and it really, even changing the microbiome, like everyone's microbiome is unique. So we need to build it up into your own food preference and what you like to eat and what you can cook, what you can't cook. And it really takes time. So people say, well, I heard it changed really fast. So can I have this 1 week and then I'm going to fly to a vacation? Well, no, let's talk when you come back. We can have one meeting, but it really takes, it's a process, because all the things we mentioned, it's not something you can just do one day. We need to try it, and then you come back to me as your health professional. I had difficulties in this and that. What do you recommend for if I have 3 minutes to cook, or if I have so this is the tricks, the things. It's not just like you said, a template that you should run 5 miles, then 10 miles. It really is a process. You need to listen to your body, and we need to do it with a health professional to make it right, to do it and see the results, and not just pay money, get something and not work out for you. So I really understand what you're saying. It's really true. It's just a process. It's totally the process. So what a lot of people also ask me about is the children, like we mentioned. The microbiome is so important, and I'm changing it for myself with everything we've mentioned, with the fiber and with the sleep and the water. And is there anything we should do better for children? And there is things that we need to make sure for our children, and even from the first bite. Okay, even for the first months, 4 to 6 months to now it's 6 months, that we just start feeding them with a spoon, not just bottled or breastfeed. There are things that we can do to really make it better. So first is the diverse diet, is the variety of things. Don't give them just the carrot. Okay, the carrot and cucumber and sweet potato and potatoes, and everything you do, you can of course boil it and smash it, make sure there's no lumps in it, but just make it diverse, make it really a lot of things and not just one. Expose them to many flavors, and as they grow older, more spices, not just the salt and sugar. There's so many great, amazing things you can add and flavors to the food that you don't even have to have a lot of salt or a lot of sugar. You can have just a little bit because it has so many flavors in it. You don't need even more. So this is a great tip. Just use more spices and herbs.
Spices for the sake of the spices, or for the sake of making the food diverse and interesting?
It's both. Like when you add any spice to the food, so it makes a little more that it's added to the diverse plant food that you're eating, and also it's a great thing to learn to taste, and then you can have less salt or less sugar in your food. So it's a win-win situation when you just buy and you recognize and you find use with a lot of other spices.
So it's not that the spice itself is a microbiome food.
Some are.
Okay.
It's just, but you put a spoon on like a whole pot, so it's really in a small amount, but some also has ingredients that our microbiome have. So it's also better for the microbiome 100%. It's also in the diverse nutrition, diverse diet that we need. So herbs and spices also get in there. I want to add the orange legumes. They're really, really soft when you boil them. You can just add it to anything.
You mean specifically orange lentils?
Lentils, yeah.
Okay.
Orange lentils. They're really, really soft. You can put it everywhere in soup and in everything you cook. And it's a really great iron source. So when I had my babies, I would feed them a lot of those orange because it has a lot of iron. I didn't like the taste of the chicken that had not the meat was okay, but the turkey that has a lot of iron that is recommended, I don't like the taste, so I didn't give them to them. So, but the orange, lentils are really soft. They don't give you gas or bloating. They're really soft to digest. They have a lot of iron. And they really have a lot of products and the fiber that our microbiome needs to digest. So this is I always recommend this. Put it everywhere. Sometimes with rice, I put it with rice. Like everything you boil, everything is in the soup and the rice and the anything you put, you cook, add it. You're going to have more food for your microbiome and more iron, more flavor, more protein because it has protein in it. And it's just a super, super amazing food added to everything. I always use it a lot in everything. So this is a really great recommendation. I always say, yeah.
Beautiful. I feel like I'm probably going to buy some today.
You should, and just boil them, and you can boil them as much as you want to be fluffier or to be really, really smooth, really, really soft. And some, you can put them in meatballs or with curry or with the soup or with rice or with everything basically, and you get more iron and more fiber for the microbiome and more protein, which is really, it really is a super, super amazing food. So this is a great recommendation for children that I always say. And another thing is, and we're gonna be sad here, but the processed food for our children. Yeah. You can't 100% block them from processed food or sugars. It is impossible in the world that we live in. Maybe someone is living in an Indian group or, I don't know, in a developed country, so they don't have snacks or things like that, but we don't. We live here. So just, the thing that we should teach them is I know it's tasty, but it is not so good for you. I don't like using the term bad on food, because in the child mind, it may be afterwards as the forbidden food. So they would even want him later, even better, So we want, this is not as healthy for you as I wish you to have. Of course, you can have it. Maybe afterwards we can have a fruit. Maybe after this we should wait for dinner. Because again, when you tell someone, this is forbidden, this is a really no, and you feel it's really good for you, like it tastes good for them, say, no, this is bad. So if we're looking ahead, we're talking about getting our children ready for life and the grown-up life, we don't want them to feel that this is the forbidden fruit. We
Right.
want them to feel that, okay, we can have it. I've tasted it. Next time I'll see it and I'm not hungry, maybe I won't have it. Maybe I'll have just a little bit. But if it's
Right.
going to be the forbidden one,
Yeah, 100%. I had a big thing with that. And when I was expecting my child, I was really, my husband was even concerned about how I was going to be because I was like, I'm not going to have my kid eat this and that, which totally went out the window.
right.
Yeah, that did not work out in reality. And also, I did understand the importance of not creating an environment where she would have to hide something.
Right.
And it would be like her guilty, delicious secret, that's way too tempting, and it
Right.
blows up so out of proportion.
When my almost every birthday, I see a child that it does not go to the play. Is always on the table of the snacks, eating snacks, and everybody calls him, hey, come, there's party going on, there's something going on, let's go do that, and there's a bomb, there's even huge slides and stuff, and you just stand there and just eats and eats and eats. And this is why you shouldn't make, we don't have candy in the house, we don't have snacks in the house, because then when your child will face a candy and snacks, it's gonna be amazing for him. He's gonna go extremely overwhelmed. And last thing happened is that kid ate he was at the table of the snacks, and he ate a lot of snacks. Then he puked at the bathroom. He was really upset, and his mom was really upset of him. And it's just a really bad circle.
Oh, that actually happened in one of the kids' birthday party.
Yeah. So we really want to make a good thinking about with food. You like it, that's great, but it's not that good for you, so maybe have just a smaller. And if your child decides, well, let me get that for a second. I just want to make sure, the first thing, so important, don't say about food that is bad. Don't say that ever, because this is going to be the forbidden food that your child, when he's grown, going to want the most. Okay, well, you can tell about yourself. You can say about, we hear it all the time, children who didn't have, money when they were growing up, all they wanted when they get adult is things that attach with money. When they don't get, a certain toy, they buy a crazy amount of toys for their children. It's the same thing with food. Don't make the food forbidden or lacking 100% no, because afterwards they're going to want it even more. So This is number one, super, super important. And another one, super, super important about our children's nutrition, which is going to be really difficult. It's so difficult to every mom I coach, is you only decide what you put on the table. And your child is the one who decides what goes in his body. And it sounds right, of course, right? But it's not. When he's a baby, look, and chooses and shoves the spoon in his mouth, and like, oh, you have to eat it, and here's your favorite show or thing to see, and the child just watches the screen and she shoves food. This is not okay. This is not how your child should eat. You should be knowing he's eating. You shouldn't trick him to eat. You shouldn't tell him, well, eat now and you get dessert only if you eat. That means in his mind, that food is disgusting. I'm going to pass this disgusting thing just to get to the tasty thing, which is dessert. You're doing exactly the opposite. And I know sometimes young children says, I don't want to eat. And you're like, oh my God, you didn't eat anything today. How are you going to survive? You're so hungry. You didn't eat anything. And I know it's not an easy thing to be a parent. Okay. I know it's not an easy thing to see, to making your child's favorite food. And he says, no, I'm not hungry. But this is a really, really important thing to work on yourself, that you don't decide what your child eats. You just decide what the option is going to be. So if you're going to put on the table like tomatoes and cucumber and an egg and the cream cheese and bread, and your child decides only to eat bread, I know, like, I'm a mom too. I know it's a little frustrating. Like, wait, what about protein? What about a vitamin? You're just say, okay, that's it. But these are really good for you. Like, always talk about the positive side. Always make food a good thing. This is really good for you. Are you sure? And that's it. Don't nag. Don't push. Don't trick him into. Don't tell him you're going to get a prize if you're going to eat this disgusting cucumber, because this is what he hears. It's like, you can go play outside after you finish your homework, right? So he ends up hating the homework, right? It's the same exact thing. Don't tell him, don't let food, the healthy food, don't let the healthy food be homework. And this is what we talk with moms a lot. It is so difficult. It's so into us. It's like a maternity feeling. I wanted to eat. I made everything. Okay, so you want that? You want that? You want that? You just put it on the table. Good options, good healthy options. It's a good thing if you eat with him, so he would have a good role model. But if he chooses not to eat, I know it's difficult. I know maybe
100%. And I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I do you have anything else you want to mention about children nutrition?
No, just elaborate. Yeah, just this. Yeah.
Because I want to say that I am giving you right now a standing ovation and an applause, because you, first of all, this whole episode, this conversation has been so interesting, but really, every parent should hear what you're saying. It is so important. And by the way, every grandmother, I'm going to say specifically grandmother, sorry, grandfathers. Some of you might be included, but I'm going to say it's mostly grandmothers. Have to hear what you're saying. Let's get the message out there. This is so important. You're talking about things that are going to basically steer people's children to a healthier lifestyle mentally. The way people handle food on a mental level. Absolutely. So important.
I know. And I feel that too. And I always talk about it so long. And some moms tell me, I can't. And it's so sad to me to hear. I can't. I have to see him eat. And I say, well, you're ruining his it's his choice.
And it's his relationship with food for the rest of his life.
Food is going to be connected with stress, with, I don't want to eat. I say, think of yourself. You're full. You're occupied. You're tired. You don't want to eat right now. Think that someone pushes you food or forces you food. If you eat it, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Don't you feel like sad for yourself? Don't you feel how it's not nice in your stomach, in your body? Don't give them that experience. And it is so difficult, and it's so sad, because I see, and the things I hear about the food and our need for our baby to eat, it is not right. We don't need our baby to eat. Their body, and it's their choice. We can offer them. Okay.
No, you're fabulous.
I say, you want to offer him a banana an hour later? Fine, sure. You want to offer him a glass of, water and a snack? Sure. Okay. But right now, who chooses what to put in his body is only him. It's only the child. Yeah. And it's it's so difficult because it's working on the adults, on the grown, on the mom, on the parents.
Absolutely. And I'm not really sure that someone who's not a parent will fully understand.
I know, right.
Because we might sound just like, I don't know, moms that are just like beating a dead horse and like, just, get over it already. But actually, this is really a big issue. This is a big issue. Yeah.
And it just ruins the child's relationship with food forever. This is the age when connections in the brain begin with food and experience. And if you give him a bad experience or stress experience or forcing food on him, this is going to be forever.
Yeah.
And on the other side, when if the child get a bump or falls and he cries and says, "Oh, don't cry, I'll give you candy." So the connection, so even as an adult, you will always want the sweet things when he's sad and upset, because the connection in the brain is done in young age. So this will be forever his connections. So I know I told you we're going to talk about big things today. This is a big thing. I work with moms. It's a very difficult things. It goes back to the mom's childhood, to the dad's childhood. But how can I see him eat only bread and not even one tiny vegetable? It's not for you to decide. And it's a difficult realization that you just put it on the table, but you don't force him eating that. It's difficult. I know. I understand. It's a big thing to do.
Wow. Ayelet Gur Arie.
Yeah.
You are so fantastic. You are so fantastic. Really.
Thank you. Thank you. Really,
is there anything that you would want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, there is 2 tiny things. Was the main thing. So I wanted to say it. I just want to make sure we have the time to elaborate on that. There are 2 things that really is important for the child health and microbiome, which is our hygiene these days. You need to avoid using all the time the cleaning and the sanitizers and the wipes on his mouth all the time in his hand. So I say this, a bathroom in public places, germs, no. But all the other germs, let them have a little bit, put him on the grass without a towel or a blanket. Let him eat with his mouth dirty. Let him walk and touch things and not wiping him all the time. It's also better to wash your hands with water and soap and not the alcoholic hand sanitizers. And I'm talking microbiome wise. When we clean, when we are in a too clean environment, our child microbiome will not develop the many range and diverse that we would want it to have. And I know I see moms feeding their baby like 1 spoon, wipe, 1 spoon, wipe. This is not good for the baby. This is 100% not good for your microbiome and for the baby. Your baby needs to be exposed to germs. And again, I'm not talking about public places to crawl and lick the floor or bathrooms, of course not. All the others, put him in the grass. You don't have to put, blanket. And if you put 1 leaf in his mouth, not as choking, obviously, but just like touching and like smell the flowers. You don't have to clean everything all the time. His hands can be dirty outside. And when you come home before the meal, you wash your hands with your water and your soap and you go and you eat. Don't you have to have all the wipes and all the sanitizers all the time? This is really bad for your child. This is really not good. This is really bad. There's a whole hygiene theory that is really going strong these days. Some say it's not even a theory. It's well known now that all our autoimmune diseases and our diseases, chronic disease and everything just comes from over hygiene. So we're not we don't know what to fight. So our immune system doesn't know what to fight. So we have more celiac and food allergies and autoimmune diseases because we're not exposed. So our immune system doesn't know what to fight. So it fights the wrong things. So overly hygiene, very important. Don't do that. It's not good for your child. It needs to be exposed to germs. And just another thing connected to the hygiene theory is outdoor. We need to be outdoors a bit more. You need to expose your child to soil and plants and flowers and not just, oh, look what a beautiful flower. It can touch it. And don't wipe his hands after, right? Touch the flower, smell it. It can touch his nose. It can touch his lip. I'm not saying taste everything, right? But expose, like touch things, be on the grass, roll on the grass and maybe plant a little flower somewhere so it touches the soil. It has really good germs for us on the soil. Again, not talking about eating it, right? But touching it and just playing with it. It's a great thing to do. It's amazing for the microbiome because, again, it's the hygiene and the exposure and the diverse germs that we need to expose our children. This is really amazing thing we can do with our children if we have children who are sick and had antibiotics and have medicine. We can go outside, play with the soil, go out in the grass, touch leaves. It can really help mentally also, but the microbiome
Absolutely.
also. Yeah. These are just two things that was really important for me to say if we had time.
I love it. I love it so much. Everyone has to listen to this episode.
I think so. I really want to put it out there. And this is part of what I feel my mission is I feel even helping the children have a better experience with food is like, I get makes me so, I'm with you. I feel that too.
Yeah. Again, it's like, once again, you are projecting how much this is your mission. Like you really are fantastic, Ayelet.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love having you on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I had so much fun.
Me too. You're the best. All right.